All right. I gotta stop downloading podcasts and let's do
You're
one.
fine.
Stop downloading them. Let's do them.
Are you ready? In five, four. I always do that from Wayne's World. Do you ever see Wayne's World?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. And like I said, I am so excited to have my guests with me. Kip, what's up?
What's happening? I'm fired up here. Honestly, talking to you about mob stuff before the show. I don't know if I want to talk football today or just talk mafia stuff. What do you think?
I know it's so interesting. What's crazy? Let's give the audience a little background on what we were talking about.
Yeah, I
Mark's
mean,
really like because everybody knows about Crooked City now because I'm obsessed with Crooked City. He did another podcast about Providence.
yes, and
That's
I
close
grew
to
up. So I grew up very close to Providence. I grew up in the most southern town in Massachusetts. So I spent a lot of time in Providence growing up. And if anyone checks out the podcast Crime Town, if you like the Crooked City, it's the same guy, right? And it's the same thing, but it's all about Raymond Patriarca and the crime family there. But I'll tell you, my dad used to do mortgages and do loans, commercial loans and stuff, and he knew a lot of those guys because these guys are involved in legit business. He actually knew the guy that Buddy Cianci burned with the cigarette. So I don't want to give too many spoilers in that one, but Buddy Cianci was the mayor of Providence. This is well known. Buddy Cianci was the mayor of Providence, went to jail partially because he assaulted and burned a guy with a cigarette, got out of jail, and then was once again elected as the mayor of Providence. That's the kind of city that Providence is. So check
oh
out. I know we're doing our own podcast here,
I have chills right now because
but
I can't wait
yes,
for you to talk here about Youngstown. Like
I
I'll go
know, I
listen to
know.
your
I'm
city,
excited.
you listen to my city, and then we're gonna come back together and we're gonna do another podcast and we're gonna talk just about the mob. How's
Lock it
that?
in, mob. But
For
today on
sure.
this one, on the bougie sports, I think we got to talk about a little football, right? At least a little.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's dive right into what happened yesterday. Big trade news with Stefan Diggs going over to the Houston Texans. I'm scared of the Houston Texans because of what they did to the Browns in the playoffs. Loaded weapons there in Houston for CJ Stroud. Do you think this was a good trade for the Texans? Yeah, who's getting the better end of this deal
Yeah,
to
so
you?
it's interesting, right? And you say you're scared of the Texans. If you look behind me, there's Tom Brady, there's all the Celtics, Patriots stuff. I know most of your listeners are, Browns fans. I'm a Patriots fan. So anything that makes the Bills worse, I'm on board with. And the GM Brandon Beane yesterday actually came out and said, "Are we a better team today than we were before? Probably not." So he admits that for the short term, most likely, this hurts the Bills, but the plan is long term, to clean up the cap space and get things together. They didn't even save any cap space with the trade, and you're probably not going to just replace Stephon Diggs in the draft. So I think it makes the Bills worse. On the Texans side, I was a little confused by why they did the move because they use a lot of fullback, they use a lot of two tight end sets, which means they don't use a lot of three wide receiver sets, right? They do the same thing. It's the same scheme that came over from the 49ers and the Dolphins, who, Kyle Juszczyk and Alec Ingold, they use a lot of fullback. So, I think it obviously is better to have more weapons, but one of those wide receivers is probably going to be the odd man out. And unfortunately now, given his size, it's probably going to be Tank Dell that's playing a smaller snap share, right? Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs probably playing a lot, Tank Dell playing a little less. But just as a general standpoint, the Texans are now a very scary team. So, I know it was Joe Flacco last year with your Browns, but it's going to be even tougher this year. Hopefully they can step up. But you guys made a little trade yourself, so
Yeah, we
maybe the
did.
Browns looking a little better,
Yeah, we did. The Texans also added Joe Mixon to the
right?
bench. Um, but I have like a love hate relationship with Joe Mixon. It all stems back to fantasy because it's always I always drafted him on the bad years. I know he has good years, and that's why I draft him on the bad years. But I think that this is a good fit for him there, and I think he's going to even do better. What do you think about that trade with Joe?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, with the bad years, things like that, that's why when I look around and I see people saying things like, "Oh, he's burned me before. Oh, he's going to get hurt." I think that's an advantage for us psychologically because we don't know who's going to get hurt or not, right? Like Joe Mixon got hurt a bunch of years in a row, and then the last 3 years he didn't get hurt, and he's been a top 10 running back all 3 years. right? So with Joe Mixon, it's kind of interesting for fantasy because you would think that a guy, if he's being released for cap space and being cut, and they bring in Zach Moss, that it would hurt its value. But I think in this particular case, he kind of failed upwards, landing on a team that has Laramie Tunsil as the left tackle, has Andrew Beck as the fullback, has now a lot of great weapons, has a good quarterback, has a really creative guy calling plays in Bobby Slowick, and on top of all that, they turned around and gave him a bunch of money. They restructured his contract. He's getting more money than Zach Moss is getting paid with the Bengals. He's getting more money than Devin Singletary got with the Giants, right? So it's like, congratulations. I actually think Joe Mixon is now better off because with the Bengals, he would have been competing with Chase Brown anyway. So Joe Mixon kind of lucked out on this whole thing in that he landed in a good team and got paid. So, I mean, hey.
Yeah. On the Bills side of it, I guess Josh Allen loses Stephon Diggs, but he also loses that the attitude in the locker room.
Right.
They weren't getting along anyways. You know what I mean? So is he 30 now or approaching? Like, it's funny. I think he's close to that.
He's right there. And I'll tell you what with Stephon Diggs, he's had some interesting attitude things all along the way. First and foremost, when he was at Maryland in college, part of the reason he slid to the 5th round is that there's a bunch of clips of him yelling at the coaches. He got suspended for a game because of like a little altercation he had in the handshake line and where he like contacted a referee. Like he's had attitude things all along. And you'll find this quote interesting. One, and again, this is it doesn't really affect anything. It's just kind of a character thing. At one point when he was in Minnesota, he dumped his girlfriend, his Instagram girlfriend, because he likes to keep his options open while he's traveling during the season. Like this is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't affect the field, but like this is the kind of guy we're talking about. You talk about diva, like
Yeah.
dumping your Instagram. I think she was a 40-year-old Instagram model, dumping her for that and saying out loud, like there's something there. Right. So,
Right.
when it comes to that stuff, maybe, and again, him being a veteran, the younger player is going to listen to him. So if he's sulking and saying this stinks and yelling at the coordinators and getting guys' faces, the younger guys, what are they going to do? Are they going to sit there and defend Joe Brady, the coach, or are they going to defend the guy that they hang out with and that is their veteran leader? Right. So sometimes it's addition by subtraction to get those guys out.
Yeah, exactly. It might be. I think they might be better off too. I do.
Maybe,
without
yeah.
that.
We'll
That
see. I
attitude.
mean, he's such a good football player. That's the balancing act, right? Because
He
it's
did
like
amazing there in Buffalo.
160 targets or
yeah.
so 4 years in a row, led the team in first downs every year. I think, for the short term, it's going to hurt him, but maybe in the long term, especially monetarily, and if they think he was a kind of a cancer in the locker room, then it might help.
Do you think if it wasn't for Pat Mahomes and the Bills and Stephon Diggs could have went somewhere? If it wasn't for that Kansas City team?
I think that's actually, it's funny I like that you bring up Kansas City because they won the Super Bowl with a 34, now 35 or soon to be 35-year-old tight end as their top target, a second round rookie in Rashi Rice as their second target, 102 targets, which, Diggs got 160. And then their third target was Justin Watson with 53 targets. So like they just won on the back of this great quarterback without incredible pass catchers. Obviously, Travis Kelce's a Hall of Fame player, but I mean, a rookie that had one contested catch on the season. So Mahomes is putting the ball in the right spot. So the Bills probably look at that and say, hey, you know what? Maybe if you have this guy, you can do that. Look at the Patriots. Look at this guy behind me. A lot of those years, who is he throwing to? I mean, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, great, but probably great because of this guy. And the one time they did bring in a truly great wide receiver in Randy Moss, Tom Brady set the record for touchdown passes. Randy Moss set the record for touchdowns in a season with 23. So
I just seen today that Randy Moss was like 30 years old too when he got traded and still went off.
He went crazy. There's a few of those guys. Jerry Rice's best statistical season, he was 34 years old. Right.
Oh, wow.
Marvin Harrison's best season was 32. So you look at it, and at a certain point, the thing is, if no wide receivers were good after the age of 30, then Calvin Johnson would be only wide receiver in the Hall of Fame. The reason you get to the Hall of Fame is by continuing to be good after as you get older. Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Larry Fitzgerald, Steve Smith Sr., like these guys were good till they were 35. But like a guy like Mike Evans, I look at him and I say, why can't that guy just keep being good? He's 30. He's had 1,000 yards 10 years in a row. So that you have to kind of decide when you're going through and picking guys in fantasy and say, okay, is this guy Hall of Fame caliber? Because I'll just keep picking him. Keenan Allen, maybe. Decisions have to be made. That
Mike Evans is like, I call him like the Jan Brady. It's like, because I'm like, I Jan Brady Mike Evans all the time. Like, no, I don't want him. Like, why? He's amazing. But I'm gonna
I
like
know.
again, I'll probably do it again. Every time his name's there, I don't know why I just can never pull the trigger on Mike Evans. And he's always like good.
I did that. I did the same thing with Larry Fitzgerald for years. For years, I said he can't keep getting away with it. Right? I was like, I'm not. And there's always my buddy that doesn't. He's not really. He's kind of a casual player, but he would just pick him every year, and it would work out for him every year. And I'd be like, eventually, this guy is going to not be good. But he's kept having 900,000 yards until he was like 36. So
Yeah.
I mean that you kind of have to look at it and say, is this that caliber of guy if you're going to go? Some guys aren't, and but some guys, I'll just keep going there. I'll keep going there as long as they keep playing a high level.
Yes. Let's go ahead and move on to another wide receiver with diva issues, and that's my new wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy. That is we've acquired from the Denver Broncos, coming over to Cleveland Browns at a steal. He was free, basically free. That's one thing I don't understand about football. I'd like to learn more about is I don't really get into the business sides of it. I don't never really spent time knowing that. But just what I hear is from the Cleveland Talk Radio, because if it was a bad deal, I would know. We seemed like we got him for a pretty good price. I love the Steve Smith thing with him. I think that I hope he works well. Like you said, he's a improvement from Elijah Moore.
Right.
I love me some Amari Cooper. So
Amari Cooper's the man, dude. Your boy A. Coop right here, dude.
Yes.
He's a namesake, right? Well, I'll tell you what. So honestly, when moves like this happen, it's always related to the business side, right? Like when you look at DeAndre Hopkins getting traded from the Texans to the Cardinals, it's because he needed to get paid. And the Cardinals weren't just trading a second for DeAndre Hopkins. They paid a second for him and then made him the highest paid player in the league. The Patriots traded away the Chandler Jones because it was the fourth year of his deal and they knew they couldn't afford to pay him. Chandler Jones went to the Cardinals and had 16 sacks, but the Patriots still won the Super Bowl. So sometimes you have to make those decisions. Jerry Jeudy coming up on the fourth year of his deal, right? He already played 4 years. Now it's time to pay him, and Sean Payton doesn't like him. They know they're not going to pay him. Get something for him now before you just let him walk for nothing. That's kind of the way they looked at it. And the Browns said, hey, we'll pay him because we like him. So they traded for him and then they paid him. So that's kind of how it works is one team. It's almost like if you're going to get nothing for the guy, then you might as well get something now. That's why those trades go through. And for you guys, I will say this because I think Jerry Jeudy can be good. The reason that people are so down on him is that there was initially a debate when he was getting drafted, CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. They went the first two guys drafted. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb's been amazing. Jeudy hasn't been as good. But when you look at Jeudy's stats, 54 or so yards per game, that's not far off for the first 4 years of a lot of guys that turned out to be really good. He has more yards per game through 4 years than Devontae Adams did when he was with the Packers, than Reggie Wayne did, than Steve Smith Sr., like a bunch of guys I just named as like Hall of Fame caliber guys. Like not everybody's incredible right away, so just saying that, if the quarterback play is good, and I know you don't like talking about the Browns quarterback, but if the quarterback play is good, then Jerry Jeudy could have his first 1,000-yard season, and he could be great. He's still very young. I think he's like 25, 24.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah, exactly. If he was drafted with CeeDee Lamb, then he's right. He should be right there with him. I'm hoping that that it hits well. And I'm biased. Okay, anything that has to do with the Browns, I can't see. I have on my rose-colored glasses, and I don't even care. It's just an obvious thing.
Honestly, the thing is when it comes to unknown stuff, right? Because like we never know for sure, right? If it's unknown, then as a fan, why not be optimistic about it? You know what I mean? There's so many people, their default is to be so negative. And like when I look at certain situations mathematically for fantasy football, I'm willing to be negative. That's what I truly believe. But from a fan standpoint, you know what? Loosen up a little bit. Give it a chance. What if the guy's good? We don't know.
Right. we'll keep it like in the AFC North here and talk about my rivals, the Baltimore Ravens, and their requirements. What do you think?
Of which
Derrick
move you're
Henry?
talking? Sorry.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah, well, he's a perfect fit for what they do. Because the thing with Derrick Henry, the thing I didn't like about the landing spot for most backs is that Lamar Jackson, being the way he plays, he doesn't like dumping it down to the running back. He likes taking himself a lot of times. You know what I mean? He scrambles around, but Derrick Henry is not a big pass catcher anyway. So it's not like we're losing stats for this guy because he can catch screens, which Todd Monken calls, and he is such a bruiser that he is going to be so great for that team. They use a fullback in Patrick Ricard, and they use the RPO, the run pass option. You're familiar with that, right?
Mm-mm.
So when you hear the words RPO, it means run pass option.
Mhm.
And back in the day, it used to be in the huddle, you would call a play, and it would either be a pass or a run, and that was the play. And even play action, it's a fake, but you're never handing it off. The RPO is like a kind of a last few years, a new version where the quarterback can actually decide if he wants to hand it off or not. Like you basically just don't have the lineman go downfield. And if the quarterback sees if it looks good, the quarterback can hand it off to the guy. And if it doesn't look good, if there's no hole there, the quarterback keeps it and he throws it. That is revolutionized the way defenses play guys like Lamar Jackson because he might hand it off, he might not. And if you think he might hand it off, he might. If you think he's going to keep it and he might throw it, then the linebackers all stay back, the safeties stay back, and then he hands it to Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry runs for like 20 yards. So that offense is so perfect for Derrick Henry. He could get back to full form and do some real damage. So a little RPO lesson there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. I love that. I love like I said, like I love learning different things. I'm a huge fantasy football fan, so most of my football knowledge, of course, it's from the Browns, but it's offensive. It's the offensive fantasy
Right.
football players. I'm not going to like tell you the defense of something like that. I haven't played that kind of yet. I'm an offensive fantasy football player type of person, So
Oh yeah.
anything that I can learn that can help me be better at fantasy football, which are those type of things that you just taught me, because all those little things do matter if you really want to dig into it. I
Yeah.
want to talk about two other running backs that because I love Aaron Jones, and he's another one that I always felt like he's kind of a Jan too, or he doesn't get the respect that he deserves, in my opinion. He went over to Minnesota, right, and then Josh Jacobs went to Green Bay.
Right. Yeah.
That really upping the difference in Green Bay with Josh Jacobs. Like I didn't really see much of a difference between those two backs.
You know what's interesting about that is that the coach, Matt LaFleur, said that he wasn't even really involved in that decision and he was surprised by it, which I mean, that's kind of odd to me. You would think that he would be more involved in it. But I mean, the reality with Aaron Jones is it's multifaceted, right? First, he was due a lot of money, right? So if you can get somebody that you believe is younger and better for similar money, then you do it. And that's what they were thinking. The other thing that we have to factor in is injuries, right? Like Aaron Jones gets hurt. He's got hamstring injuries, which those soft tissue injuries, right? Like there's certain injuries like a broken arm where you heal and you're good. You're not at risk to break your arm again. Luke Musgrave suffered a lacerated kidney. We don't sit here and say, "Oh, he's probably going to lacerate his kidney again." It's a freak injury, right? The hamstring and soft tissue injuries; those are recurring injuries, and they're scary. And if Aaron Jones has them now 4 years in a row, then that's scary. So that's why they made the move. They want to be as safe as possible with the health and everything. And the difference between what happened with Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones is that Mixon kind of failed his way up, and in my opinion, for fantasy, Aaron Jones kind of fell out of a very high branch of a tree and landed on a lower branch. Like he didn't fall to the ground. He's still in the league, but the Packers are a young, ascending offense with a good quarterback, all these weapons, the offensive line. He goes to the Vikings, who just lost their quarterback, and their quarterback might be Sam Darnold, right? So, like, just in general for production, like he could still catch a lot of passes over there, but it's not like they have no one to throw to. They still have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. So they have guys to throw to, but they don't really have a great quarterback to really run up the score and score a lot of points. So, you got to downgrade Aaron Jones a little bit, I think, because of this.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, I want to touch on before we move on to a different subject. There are some another well, we had a couple we have to talk about. Kirk Cousins, and then I want to talk about the Justin Fields and Russell Wilson to the Steelers, because you probably can help me a little bit more, because I don't understand really the Justin Fields contract. And I think he has certain where he has to pay like 50, he has to play 51%, or I'm just
Right.
starting to get to grips of that. Can you help us
Yeah.
out a little bit?
Yeah. So with those, they do what's called conditional picks. And a lot of times it makes sense for both teams, right? So the a good example is the Hassan Reddick trade from the Eagles to the Jets. And for him, if he plays more than 60% of the snaps and has 10 sacks, then it becomes a second round pick. And it becomes a second round pick in 2026. Because if Reddick is that good, the Jets are going to be good. So they don't want the Jets pick now. If Reddick doesn't meet those thresholds, it's actually a third round pick, but it's this year. So the teams kind of set it up where, okay, if this guy helps you this much, we get this much back, right? The Falcons just did that with Calvin Ridley, where it would have been a fourth round pick, but because of how, or fifth round pick, but because of how good Ridley played, it was a third. And that's what they do is it's like, okay, it's contingent on what happens. So if they trade Justin Fields and he becomes the starter, then you get a fourth round pick. But if he doesn't play, then it's a sixth round pick, right? So it kind of it helps. It makes both teams feel a little better about the deal, where it's like, okay, and not to mention, I like it. I love it as a fan, right? Because if you're a Bears fan, you like Justin Fields. You have no reason to not like Justin Fields, and you want to root for Justin Fields. So now, as a Bears fan, you have a legitimate reason to root for Justin Fields to play better, because if he plays and plays well, you get a better draft pick for your team. So I do love those. As a fan, I love those trades.
And I
But
think
that's
Justin
how
Fields is
it's
really loved in the locker room too by the players.
they did
And,
like him. They did like him. They did
and
like there
that
was
bringing Caleb Williams in, maybe that was, I don't know. I just felt like you don't want to try to think about all the things that go behind the deal, because everybody always wants to think, what happened. And
well, I'll tell you what. I mean, this is another classic example where rookie quarterback contracts are so much cheaper than what you have to pay a guy on a second contract. So with Justin Fields, it's not just Justin Fields versus Caleb Williams. It's Justin Fields next year is they would have to pick up his fifth year option, and it would be that's like $20 million versus a rookie contract, which is a lot cheaper. So I mean, even going back to this guy here behind me, Tom Brady, it wasn't just Tom Brady versus Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe got a contract for $100 million, and Tom Brady was on a sixth-round pick contract. It was a no-brainer, if they're even close talent-wise, to go with the young guy plus $100 million in cap space than the older guy. And that's what they're doing here, and that's why it's funny to me. And what makes it really interesting of that is it's the Panthers pick at 1. If the Panthers had just played better, then the Bears would be picking at 9, and they might not even be drafting a quarterback at all.
yeah.
Like if the Panthers were good, like they
Mhm.
thought they were going to be, Justin Fields would still have a job. That's how crazy this league is. Like it's like there's so much that goes into it that, like you say, it's a lot easier to just wait for everything to settle and then pick up the chips for fantasy football. But I do 32 articles on all 32 teams in the offseason. I run our draft tracker. So I'm like contractually obligated to know all these little stupid things. So
Yes.
feel free to fire away with the questions. I've dug deep into all this stuff. Yeah.
So who do you think is going to be the majority? Who do you think is going to start for the Steelers? You think they're going to start Russell Wilson and then bring in Justin Fields
I think
halfway in, or if you
I
could,
think I think what it's going to be. So here's the other beautiful thing for the Steelers is that because of Russell Wilson's contract, they can't extend Russell Wilson this year. There's like there's essentially the Broncos are paying Russell Wilson, and if the Steelers pay him more money, that offsets the contract. It's that one's a little complicated to get into here, but basically the Steelers can't pay Russell Wilson until next year. So he's on a 1-year deal. So I think what they should do is start Russell Wilson all year, right? See what they have. And if Russell Wilson's the guy, then you pay him. If it's even close, then you can let Russell Wilson leave and pay Justin Fields. And if you don't start Justin Fields this year, then you pay a cheaper pick to get him. So I think they're in a great situation. I do think Russell Wilson's going to start, and if he's probably going to play the whole year. The reality is that statistically speaking, every single year of Russell Wilson's career as a starter has been better than the best year passing the football for Justin Fields or Kenny Pickett. His Russell Wilson's worst year passing the football has been better than every single year of Kenny Pickett or Justin Fields passing the ball. So he's probably the guy.
Yeah. Would you even touch any of them in fantasy football for anybody in a redraft league? Because anyone's watching that's in a redraft league, would you even touch any of those? If you didn't, like, say you're in a 12-person, 10
If
person
you're in a
redraft.
normal 12-person
Yeah.
league, then you don't have to draft Russell Wilson, but I would keep an eye on him. I would keep an eye on him just in case. If you're in some of the 2 quarterback leagues, then yes. If you're doing like those best ball leagues where you draft multiple quarterbacks, then yes, but you don't have to draft Russell Wilson.
No. A lot of free agency trades. There's so much to go over that makes people, you're really going to have to make sure you look around, see, because a lot of uniforms are changed. Any other big ones that you can think of that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean,
Colored.
just real quick, like Saquon Barkley, right? You
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
mention
Yes.
gotta mention that Saquon, like for him, and just from a fan standpoint, not just fantasy, like him going, like, because with, like we said, with Justin Fields, I mentioned how fans are rooting for him and they have a reason to root for him, and he seems like a nice guy. With Saquon Barkley, he seems like a nice guy, and if he had gone to, say the Browns, then the Giants fans would be like, "Hey, you know what? Thanks for everything. We wish you well." But he didn't go to the Browns. He went to the Eagles. That would be like if he went from. I know you were upset when Joe Hayden went from the Browns to the Steelers, right? So, like, if he had done, it's kind of like that, where it's like he went to the enemy. Not only did he go to the enemy, but some of the first things he said were, "Oh, it's nice to be on the winning side of the rivalry." He mentioned how his daughter came out and said, "Oh, does this mean we get to win now, Daddy?" Right? Like, it's just like he's kind of twisting the knife, and you have like all the Giants fans come out, like Tiki Barber, former running back for the Giants, came out and said Saquon's dead to me because he went to the enemy. So he's got a lot on the line for his legacy. Because if he doesn't pan out with the Eagles, like let's say he doesn't play well there, Eagles fans aren't going to like him, and the Giants fans aren't going to like him, and who's going to like him besides me and you? Like, we don't have a dog in the fight. So he needs to go to the Eagles. The Eagles need to win. He needs to play great. And then we say, okay, you know what? He did what's best for him. And I think the Giants fans will be able to say at that point, okay, you know what? He got paid. They won. Like, he had to do what's best for him and his family. But I'm telling you, if he does not do well, Giants fans are going to turn around, and it's going to be like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where it's just pointing at the TV. They're going to stick it to him. So I'm rooting for him.
I don't have Saquon Barkley in any of my leagues, and I'm going to want him to not do well, because I think it would be funny to watch him go down and all the Giants fans like loving it. Like, I don't know. And besides, I don't like the Eagles either. So both of them, I just think it would be funny. I don't know.
It would, honestly, because Eagles fans are I'm up here in Boston, and Boston fans can be rough, but Eagles fans are at another level, man. I mean, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus. They threw batteries at JD Drew. Like, did you ever hear that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, they threw AA batteries at JD Drew when he came back, I think with the Red Sox. It's just like ridiculous fans. Like I saw a guy wearing a Tony Romo jersey walking out of the link down there at an Eagles game, and he's just covered in ketchup and mustard just because he's, I'm sure he said something too, but just because he's a Cowboys fan, it's just like, it's crazy down there. So yeah, if Barkley doesn't do well,
Philadelphia for the NFL draft, when the draft was there, because it's not that far from here, and I have never been treated so badly by people. Not badly. I don't want to say that, because I think they're passionate fans. So
passionate.
No,
they're funny. You gotta give them credit. They are funny. Like, they make me laugh, but they're ruthless. But
they went at me as a female. Usually you don't get it as much. They were like, "You fucking bum!" Like, everything. Like, it was like, holy crap, they were mean. Everybody was mean. It was rough.
Yeah, that's Boston and Philly. A little rough around the edges, and funny, but also they have they're good at heart. Like, my buddy Mike Fiala, FF Daddy's home. Like, he's the kind of guy that would pull over if you had a flat tire, and he would be like, "What are you doing, you dummy?" And then he would fix it for you. You know what I mean? Like, he's a rough dude with a heart of gold. And that's kind of he kind of embodies Boston.
People. Those are the best fans, and those are the best followers, and those are the best everybody you want in your life. I want to be able to have a follower and say, the Steelers are freaking trashy. I fucking hate them, and they say you're fucking trash, and we can hug it out. You know what I mean? That's how it should be when it's about sports. It's not personal.
My rankings.
Tiki Barber. I was on Tiki Barber's side with what he said about Saquon.
my ranking for baseball fans are the worst fans are Yankees fans that are just like jerks and don't get it. And then there's every other fan. But my favorite fans are Yankees fans that know how to joke about it and know how to have it because I'm a Red Sox fan and know how to have a good time and make the rivalry fun. Like that's the best when it's like a fun little bit of friendly banter, but there is a level that people are not when it's not fun, that's when I don't like it. But when it's fun, it's the
Yeah.
best, right? Yeah.
Yeah, when it gets personal and you're like,
Yeah, sometimes when
man,
people are just, like,
it's
mean,
football, man.
right, on the like, pushing you on the subway, it's like,
Yeah.
that's not fun, right? Like, but when it's fun and funny, then it's the best. There's nothing better.
Yes. When it all stays light. It's funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about some people that are getting ready to get dragged on social media, like the new the new class of the NFL. Welcome to the NFL, guys. We are going to judge you. So let's start with
Oh,
Caleb Williams. I mean, he's obviously going to Chicago. Wouldn't that be crazy if they drafted someone? I would die if they drafted someone else. What if they're
oh
like
my god.
Romo?
I can't well, I always watch the draft, I watch the whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's so painful when when there's a player that's supposed to go early and he doesn't, and they just show his face all draft on screen, and he's just
Oh God,
like
they did
Aaron
that.
Rodgers, they
They
showed
did
it.
that too last year.
Will Levis. They showed Will
Oh
Levis,
yeah,
and Will Levis and his girlfriend was there, and she was just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's
That was
I hate
so
that. So
bad.
I do. And
So
the thing
bad.
is with Caleb Williams, he's already getting it because, like, I'm not sure if you've seen, but like his
Oh
mother
yeah, because he
works for
painted
like a
his
nail
nails.
salon. Yeah, his mother works for a nail salon. It's like one of those things where it's like, not to mention it's 2024. Like, there's plenty of your check out your favorite, rapper or rock star, right? Like even going way back. Like look at David Bowie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like David Bowie was like,
Yes.
the weirdest dude, and
There's nothing like
100%
a dude
definitely
whoever's just
painted his
stealing
nails.
people's stuff.
It's you know what? Like, and the thing is, the guy's a baller, so I don't care. I don't care. He can wear a
I think
dress. He can
it's
do whatever.
hot.
Yeah,
One guy from
Joe.
Vanderpump Rules does his nails, and you have to be like, I feel like to pull it off, you have to be
You
hot.
have
I
to be
mean, you
cool.
have to be a certain way to pull it off. I don't know.
No, for real though. It's like
Yeah.
it's cool if you're cool.
And he's young
100%.
and cool and hip and
It's cool. It's
whatever.
cool
I
if you're
think that's
cool, no matter
so
what.
funny.
Pink
But
phone, whatever. Dude, I wish I could have a pink phone. I'm not cool enough.
hey, listen, if he sucks at football, then I don't care. Then they can make fun of him all he
Yeah,
wants. But if he's good this year, then just shut up.
don't care. The thing is, going back, Joe Namath got the same treatment. He did a
Sure.
commercial for pantyhose back in the day, and people were like, "Oh, blah blah, you're not a man." Blah, blah. It's like, dude, Joe Namath is the man. I mean,
He
his
is.
stats.
I
Yeah,
love
he's a
me.
Jets, right? But he's like the coolest dude. Joe,
He is the
like
coolest
so.
dude. We should do Joe Namath Day at the Fantasy Football Expo. Where we all wear our best fur Joe Namath coat.
Yeah, I mean, as a Patriots fan, I don't think I can celebrate Joe Namath Day, but
All right, I'll
I'll,
let you go on that
yeah,
one.
yeah. But hey, you know what? He's still cool dude, and he kind of set the tone. So I don't care about all that. I really don't. But
Yeah,
it's like it's insecure. It's just crazy to me to see people be insecure on his behalf. It's like just let the dude live.
but yeah, just let him live his life.
Yeah, and I think he's a very fun player to watch. Great player.
Mhm.
His upside, like people say, oh, you can't comp anyone to Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, you can't say he's Patrick Mahomes, but his upside is Patrick Mahomes play style. This guy can run around like crazy. He can extend plays, and just watch the way that this guy can throw it. Is very people think like, oh, you just standing there with your buddies and you're throwing it, and I can throw it really far. Rolling to your left side and turning and throwing like this is very difficult, and Caleb Williams is incredible at it. And so are guys like Trevor Lawrence. It's like it's another level. Caleb Williams is his upside is as high as it can be, and like any player, his floor is
I'm gonna
that
have a
he might.
Godfather moment real fast.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah,
I couldn't stop. I couldn't help myself. I see my cat there because sorry, guys. Sorry. We're going to go back to the mob because I just started watching The Godfather because on my mob stuff. And I love the beginning that he has a cat. He's holding onto a cat.
he's the
So,
best.
anyways.
Yeah, but yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess to wrap that all up, dude, it's cool to have. If you're a dude, it's okay to paint your nails. It's okay to have a cat, dude. You're like the Godfather had a cat.
Exactly.
You're
The
like,
Godfather or the
yeah.
freaking cat. It's a freaking
I mean, dude, I've
Godfather.
seen that too. The judging, they're like, "Oh, you like cats, so you hate dogs." It's like, no, dude, I like cats. I like dogs,
I
dude.
like
Like,
them
I like
all.
animals. They're all cool, man. They're all cool to me. So,
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the other quarterbacks. Let's talk about Minnesota. When do they pick? I don't remember. Like they
11,
pick early,
11,
do they?
11.
Do you think they're going to go for a quarterback, or do you think Sam Darnold's?
I think that from what I've seen, this is what I'm hearing, is that they really like JJ McCarthy, who was the quarterback for Michigan, and they obviously
Old
won the
guy,
national
old man who
championship.
hurt.
Is that?
They keep talking about him because he's so old, because he's a little bit older. Is that the old
Yeah,
guy? I call him
it's
old guy JJ.
he's
Because
a
I think
little
that
old because
COVID,
he stayed at
we're in
school.
COVID year, right?
Right, he stayed at school, but the thing is, he won, and people are like, "Oh, well, he didn't throw as much." It's like, dude, the team went undefeated and won the championship. Like, did you want them to go more undefeated? It's like give the guy a break. So, I think the thing is, they said so. Minnesota says they want JJ McCarthy, but now there are rumors that JJ McCarthy might go earlier, so they might not be able to trade up. And the most recent thing they said is, "We're prepared to potentially start Sam Darnold all season." So, in my opinion, what I think is going on is if they could trade up to take JJ McCarthy, or if he falls to them at 11, they'll take him. And if not, then they might just say, "Hey, we'll start Sam Darnold." And if Darnold's that bad, then they'll be in position to draft a quarterback the following year. I just think this draft has so many great quarterbacks and wide receivers that if that's what you need, this is the year to do it. Next year's class, and again, I'm not a big college football guy, but next year's class, from what I hear, not nearly as good.
Which is kind of interesting, is because I remember another big quarterback class included, I think, Sam Darnold. That's when Baker Mayfield and
Right.
Lamar Jackson, and
Mhm.
I feel like that was a crew too, when they all came in, because we were
Yeah.
looking. That's when we took Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So
Baker won first overall. And hey, Baker's doing well. Do you still root for Baker as a Browns fan?
I do, of course, I do. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I
that's the
do.
thing is, but the thing is, well, you say of course, but there are some people that
I
don't. But
There's
but
some
the
people
thing
that
is,
still love him so much. They're like, they're the Baker Bros in Cleveland. They just can't let it go.
he's
They're
just a
just
great
still
guy.
holding
He's a
on.
great guy. But then there are some players like Saquon where it's like, he still
Oh
has
yeah,
some fans, but like the way he did it is differently than what Baker did. So it's like
right.
that, you got that legacy to think about.
Yeah. I'd list him the best, but he's not on my team anymore. He's not my quarterback anymore, but
Yeah. You guys
I
don't
wish
have to
him.
worry about them until the only time you would play the Bucks next year is in the Super Bowl, right? You're not. I don't think the
Hopefully
Browns.
that
Yeah,
would be
so
awesome.
it's like you don't have to. You can root for Baker up until one game if it happens.
I
So
was
you're all
rooting for
right.
him this year in the playoffs after we went out, because he
Yeah.
stayed in a week after us.
Yeah. Let me check and see because we know who we don't know the full schedule, but we know who you guys are going to play. Actually, you know
Um,
what? The Browns play the AFC West and the NFC South this year, so you guys do face Baker. So you will have Baker. Hopefully, that game is scheduled in Cleveland. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh my God, there'll be so many Baker fans there.
If
That'll be
I'm
fun.
the if I'm the schedule maker, I know the NFL, and I would bet my bottom dollar the NFL schedule maker is going to say this game's going to be over here,
Yeah,
right?
that will definitely have a vibe for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So
Washington Commanders, that's who is suck. You know what I love in the draft? I love when there's a trade. When there's like a trade, ding, 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 I'm like, and then I know everyone's mock drafts fucked up. As soon as it comes, it's like,
yeah, yeah. You
they're
can't.
done.
Yeah, the mock draft. It's so fun. Everyone thinks they're so right every single time, and it's never close. It's never even close.
I wonder like who has been the most. You cannot possibly. Maybe Mel Kiper. I don't know how accurate he was. Even he can't be that accurate. I bet on
Yeah,
predicting
there's.
the first round
I'm
of a
trying.
draft.
Try to so they did do a study on it and there was one guy that was a little better than everybody else and I apologize but I can't remember his name right now but it wasn't Mel Kiper but it was actually a fairly famous guy so if you give me a second I can pull it up but even the thing is when you look at even the top ones because they like grade them right even the top ones aren't even close because there's so much trading and when one trade happens it changes everything right it's like if a because there's so many quarterback needy teams. The moment a team trades out and a quarterback team trades up, it pushes everybody down. And now, wide receiver now like tackles are falling to teams that we're gonna, that everyone thought was gonna take a wide receiver. It's like it's impossible. And not to mention, the Patriots will come up and draft like Cole Strange or somebody completely random no one's ever heard of. Right. So hopefully with Belichick gone, that's done. But I mean, it's just I still do a mock draft because I think it's fun, but I have no
Mhm.
no delusions that it's going to be right. And the part not to go on too long, but the funny thing is, if you were to post a mock draft that would inevitably be right, everyone that looked at it now would look at it and say that's stupid.
Right.
because they would say
That's
that's so
exactly.
dumb because it's like the end result usually it does look kind of dumb. So
Mhm.
it's like
$100%.
you would get called an idiot for the next month, and then you would
Yeah,
have and then you would be right, but like you'd
right.
have to deal with that the whole time.
Who are your favorite, like, wideouts going into this draft? Marvin Harrison, there's Neighbors, there's a lot of them. I mean, I'm, of course, Ohio State girl. I'm always everything's gonna be Marvin
Of
Harrison.
course,
I can't
Marvin,
see
Marvin.
anything but him. I'm probably gonna reach for him because I want him.
Yeah,
And I think, we're gonna play that game with Marvin Harrison, where there's gonna be people that are gonna say, "Don't reach for him," and then, I won't, and then he's gonna freaking blow out, like, obviously. So, I think I'm gonna do
yeah,
a reach for him because I just want him.
right. And the thing is, like, there's so many people again that, and I don't want to like besmirch anybody because there are some people doing great work out there. But the reality is that we don't get to be part of these interviews and we don't get to talk to these guys about what they know and what they don't know and how they would fit the different teams or schemes or whatever. So, like, some people will swear, "Oh, Malik Neighbors is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is better than Malik Neighbors," and they won't change their mind. Like, even if Marvin Harrison Jr. went at 4 overall and Malik Neighbors went in like the fifth round, some people would still say, well, Malik Neighbors is still better. The draft has it wrong. Everyone has it wrong. For me, I always factor in the draft a little bit. If these guys go, I think these guys are both 1 and 2 in my book. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. Slightly ahead, and but they're both 1A and 1B to me, right? And then the next tier is Rome Odunze by himself, but I don't put him in that class. But if the order goes Marvin Harrison Jr. and then Rome Odunze and then Malik Neighbors later, then I honestly, who am I to say that I know that much more than these professional NFL scouts, right? And especially if two of them go to teams like the Cardinals and the Chargers, where I love the quarterback and I love the situation, and then the other guy, the third guy, goes to a team like the Dolphins, where he's stuck behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I mean, I look at that and I'm like, how could I possibly rank that guy ahead of these guys? So, like, for me, I do care about the draft. I know it's blasphemous to say. I know there's so many people out there that are like, oh, well, that's the easy way. It's whatever. It's like, that is, JJ Zacharyson, one of the best fantasy analysts out there, and, the Fantasy Sports Writer Association Football Writer of the Year and all this stuff. Like, his number one most important metric for his formula is draft capital, meaning where they get drafted. So that's my spiel on that. The
Brilliant.
thing is, this class is so good that I love all those guys. I love a bunch of the other guys too. If you want to talk about them too, like, I think it's some years I don't do. I'm like, oh, I like these two guys and that's it. This year there's like 5, 6, 7 guys
Let's
that are
talk
like,
about one of your guys. Let's talk about the tight end, Brock Bowers. There's a lot of talk about
yeah,
him. He's a
yes,
big guy too.
right,
Which I don't know, because if you see his picture, he doesn't look like that. I don't know.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit
Got kind
about
of a
him.
kind of a dork vibe to him. But the
Yeah,
thing is, like,
he's going in the first round, I think. He's definitely going in the first round.
yeah, for sure. And there's like, for instance, and this is probably not going to happen because again, it's a contract thing where teams look at what you pay wide receivers and what you pay tight ends, and 4 years of a rookie. So that all the rookie contracts are set basically. Like, so no matter who you draft, you're paying him a set amount of money, no matter what position. So if a kicker were to go in the first round, he would get paid the same contract than say a quarterback. So that's why it kind of works that way. So
Yeah.
because tight ends get paid less than wide receivers, that's what pushes tight ends down in the draft, is that you get more value from drafting wide receivers. But put that all aside, if Brock Bowers were to go fifth overall to the Chargers to play with Justin Herbert, who they just got rid of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and Gerald Everett, the top 4 targets, and they brought in Greg Roman, who was the play caller for the Ravens when Mark Andrews had his incredible season at tight end. If they were to do that, I might honestly rank Brock Bowers at like tight end 2 in redraft, or 3. I'm not even kidding.
He's the next Sam Laporta.
I think that he could be. I think he profiles more like Mark Andrews. So, like, Sam Laporta is an inline tight end. He did really well last year. Mark Andrews plays 85% of his snaps at wide receiver, and he's basically just as good at playing wide receiver as the wide receivers, but he's a better blocker than the wide receivers because he's huge. And that's what Brock Bowers is. He's just as good at wide receiver than any other wide receiver. He had he had more yards after the catch than any wide receiver in college, and he can block better than all of them. So if a team drafts him to have him play wide receiver, his ceiling is higher than Sam Laporta. It's higher. It's as high as Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews and those type of guys. And I still believe that Kyle Pitts, if he's used properly, has that kind of ceiling too with his athleticism. But like Brock Bowers is as good as it gets. And I historically have been the guy that is like not a fan of rookie tight ends. I've only ever really been in on Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid, and Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, and now Brock Bowers. Typically, I'm like, no, don't worry about it. For multiple years, I just said, don't draft
Let's
any.
talk about Kyle Pitts. We have to talk about him because he's worth talking about because he's another GN. I think this is going to be his year. Is it going to be? It has to. Now they made the changes. He has different quarterback. Where are you putting Kyle Pitts? Are you giving him any more upgrade this year?
Here's where I'm putting him. I'm putting him right here in my. I've been buying up Kyle Pitts cards because I think they're going to go up in value. That's the investment strategy I have because I already have him in a lot of fantasy leagues. The thing with Kyle Pitts, right? Here's the short and sweet: is that he is the only tight end ever to have a 1,000-yard season at 21 years old, ever. Gronkowski and Mike Ditka are the only two to have one at 22 years old. How old do you think Travis Kelce was when he had his first 1,000-yard receiving season? Take a guess. Take a stab.
26.
27. So pretty close. Zach Ertz had his first 1,000-yard season at 28. Kyle Pitts had one at 21, and he's 23 years old now, right? And you look at a guy like Evan Ingram, who was a top 5 tight end with Eli Manning at the very end of his career. Then he struggled with Daniel Jones. Now he's playing with Trevor Lawrence and back-to-back top 5 seasons again. What was the common denominator? Bad quarterback, right? So Kyle Pitts, 1,000 yards with Matt Ryan, who's a great quarterback. And then he plays with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke and whatever. And no wonder he's bad. And then now he's going to play with Kirk Cousins. I think he's in line for an amazing season. So is Drake London. I'm going to be buying both those players. Drake London had 900 yards, and he with terrible QB play, he led the league in contested catches. So he had to do it the hard way. So I am in on both those players. Jot that down.
What about, okay, I know we're going back to what we were talking about Drake London and just got me thinking about another wide receiver that's going to have a different quarterback this year, and Garrett Wilson. Are you as high on him? I feel like people are just as high on him, even though we haven't really seen much of him. What do you think about him with Aaron Rodgers? Is Aaron Rodgers playing or what?
He's going to play. He's going to play, and I think he's going to play at a high level. I'm absolutely in on Garrett Wilson. He's like, we've seen flashes of brilliance from him. Like, that's the thing is some guys get the opportunity and they do nothing, and that really scares us. I'll give you an example. Quentin Johnston for the Chargers. Last year, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen both got hurt, and he was playing like 90-something% of the snaps with Justin Herbert, and it didn't look good. That's scary. Garrett Wilson has looked good playing with Zach Wilson and all these other guys, right? So for me, if a guy can at least look good with bad quarterback play, just a little tweak in that QB play is how you see him go to the moon. And we've seen it time and time again where you look back at like A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown with Ryan Tannehill, he was okay. With Jalen Hurts, 1,400, 1,500 yards, wide receiver 1 across the board years. Like, that's all. I mean, can't throw the ball yourself. That.
Yeah, I have another tight end question that I wanted to ask you about TJ Hawkinson. I know he's coming off of an injury. Is this something that I should be concerned with as a fantasy football drafter?
Tight end is the toughest position for that reason, because there's opportunity is so important for tight end. Like with wide receiver, every team uses 3 wide receivers and they're going to be on the field no matter what. There's a bunch of tight ends where we look at them and we say, oh, that guy's good, but his opportunity is bad, so he doesn't put up numbers. I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard anyone say that Pat Freiermuth is not a good football player?
Me, because I hate Steelers.
But even though you hate the Steelers,
like he is a good tight end. Yeah, okay, but yeah.
See, what I'm saying is that like you might dislike him, but do you think he's bad at football?
No.
Well, that's the thing. And like George
If I had to
Kittle,
pick anyone in the Steelers offense, it would be only him, probably, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't think he's a good player, but he hasn't put up good stats because the QB play's been bad, and because Deontay Johnson was getting 9 targets a game, and George Pickens getting a bunch of targets, right? So, and again, with a guy like George Kittle, everyone thinks George Kittle is good, but he's not always good in fantasy because they have so many other weapons, right? So I look at TJ Hawkinson, and we all think he's pretty good, but think about what's going on here. He has Justin Jefferson and ascending Jordan Addison. So he already has 2 guys that are going to get a lot of targets. Aaron Jones, your boy, he's going to get some targets. And Kirk Cousins is gone, and Sam Darnold's coming in. That's a downgrade no matter what. Even if they trade up and get a quarterback, a rookie quarterback is a downgrade no matter what. And here's the real kicker of that is that TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL. So while everybody else has all offseason to get on the same page with Sam Darnold or the rookie QB, and they're running routes and they're doing, oh, you know what? I can run this route, this curl route, and you throw it to me right here. Boom, bang. And they get on the same page. TJ Hawkinson is going to miss all that. He's going to show up in August when his knee's better, and he's not going to have any of that chemistry, any of that stuff going on. So TJ Hawkinson, for me, I'm staying away. Just for
Njoku over him.
That's going to be tough, and it's close. And I think I would. I love Njoku. I mean, he's a physical specimen, right? Like he's yoked. Like he walks around.
He wasn't great when he was a rookie, right? He's taken some time to develop, I think.
But I think the Browns made a mistake. The mistake they made is that Austin Hooper got a ton of the Falcons that year threw 50 more passes than any other team. That's why Austin Hooper was good, and the Browns kind of got tricked. And they thought that Austin Hooper was really, really good, but it was just because the team threw so much. And because they invested so much, Hooper had to play over Njoku. That's what held Njoku back. I think he was a good player the entire time, but the GM messed up. That's it, and now that he has the opportunity, he's been great. He was great last year.
Yeah. I feel like, I'm looking for him to have it. Like, again, what comes to the Browns, where it's all, dependent on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but let me give you a little cheat code for tight end. If I was going to give somebody a little piece of paper that had the one cheat code for tight end on whether you want to draft him or not, here it is. Are you ready? Ask yourself this question.
Okay.
Is he a top 2 target on the team? And what I mean by that is that, at the end of the year, so let's take the Browns, for instance. Well, let's do a different team for starters, right? Let's look at Jonnu Smith on the Dolphins. Who do you think gets the most targets on the Dolphins?
Tyreek.
Yes. Who do you think gets the second most?
Waddle.
Jalen Waddle. Which, because of that, Jonnu Smith is probably on the outside looking in. Now right. So, and the thing is, right? And the thing is, every tight end.
You don't want to go to Houston. Who's the tight end in Houston? According to this model, I would never.
He's in big trouble. Well, that's the thing is that every top 5 tight end in fantasy football has gotten either 90 plus targets or 10 plus touchdowns going back to 2003. How's that for a sample size? 20 years now. Every one, 90 targets or 10 touchdowns. And it's so hard to predict who's going to score 10 touchdowns. It rarely happens that we focus on the targets, right? So let's go back to your Browns. Who do you think gets the most targets in the Browns?
Amari Cooper, maybe?
It's Amari. Yeah. It's our guy for sure. Don't even say maybe. It's definitely, if he's healthy, it's him, right? Mm-hmm. Now, here's where it gets dicey, is that had they not done the trade, I would say Njoku pretty safely number 2. But now that Jerry Jeudy's there, now there's a little bit of a debate. That's why for Njoku to be good in fantasy, you almost need Jeudy to kind of fall behind. When you look at the guys that are the 3rd target on the team to have high end upside, you have to go back to 2013 Broncos when Peyton Manning threw 55 touchdown passes, which still stands as the record for most of the season today. And Julius Thomas scored 13 touchdowns. It just happens so rarely that the 3rd guy gets put it this way, if all 3 of those guys are high-end fantasy options, Deshaun Watson is going to be like the QB 1 or 2 in fantasy, which is possible. But you kind of have to make that bet.
Any given Sunday.
Yeah, and that's why, as a Browns fan, it makes it tough because if you want to be an Njoku fan in fantasy, you almost have to fade Jeudy a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
hold on a second.
What is this?
So I had some graphics, and I did not use them throughout this recording just in case. And I don't think we needed them anyways. We didn't really need them, right? But this is something that we are going to play. Let me rewind it back to the beginning.
Okay.
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 So-
Now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. Little pause.
Okay. So it's an overlay.
Yes. Okay. So you're the tight end expert. So I thought, what can I judge you on here? So I thought, let's see how much you really know these tight ends. So we're gonna play a game called Name That Tight End. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready. I
right,
don't know how good I'm gonna be at this.
Tight end. Actually, you mentioned this guy's name a couple times in the podcast today. I thought about it when you're talking about people that Eugene Brady'd a little bit. That's your clue. Do you know who's a tight end? And it's a very nice tight end. This person must be really athletic.
Okay, so then if this is the guy I think it is, I'm guessing this is a picture from college then, not from the NFL. Is this a college uniform? You're not going to tell me.
No, it's not a college uniform. I'll tell you that.
This is an NFL uniform?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. It's an NFL player. I don't know.
It's not Kyle Pitts then, or is it Kyle Pitts?
Is that your answer?
I'll guess.
Is that?
I'll guess Kyle Pitts. I'll guess Kyle Pitts.
No, it's Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, I thought it was all tight ends.
No, you're just thinking of tight ends. Okay, no. Sorry,
Larry. Okay. Larry, so I actually probably would have guessed that. Larry Fitz is an all-time glute champion. So okay. Now I got it.
Well, that's okay. That was our run-through sample to get through.
What a picture. Okay, so it's any player. Okay,
it could be any play. It might not be a play. We don't know what we're gonna do. You're just gonna name that tight end. Let's see who the next one is.
That's a tough one. That's a picture of him.
All right. Oops.
That pass was a picture of him from the Pro Bowl. He's wearing the blue uniform, but so that was a real curveball. That's why he's wearing blue. So this is an NFL player.
No, it doesn't have to be an NFL player. It could be anybody.
It could be anybody. All right.
Okay.
Oh, all right. So I see the rope there. So this is a wrestler then, I'm guessing. Or maybe MMA, but I'm guessing wrestler. Is that John Cena?
Is it? Let's see. Whose tight end is this? It is.
Yeah.
John Cena. Yes.
All right. 1 point. I bet I would have got that Larry Fitz. I would not have got it.
That was our sample. That was our sample one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else you got?
All right, bam. Name this tight end. I would know this just from the outfit that was worn at the Met Gala ball. If you could tell, the steps are going to the Met Gala.
That's a good one, dude. See, I like this one better. Let's do more of these ones. Is this the Met Gala? The thing is, I don't know if I'll be able to get this, but I'm just gonna guess one of my favorite musicians all time. Maybe my hall pass. Is this Alicia Keys?
Is it? Who is it? It's Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian. Oh,
yes.
Okay. Wow, impressive stuff.
That's that name. That's right. All right.
I should have gone with more famous spots.
Oh,
okay. I think I know that. I know this one.
Let me rewind it. Did you see it?
I saw it and I know this one. I know not from this. From that. It's Taylor Swift though. That's Taylor Swift.
Is it?
Gotta be.
Okay, so let's go back.
That's Taylor Swift, 100%. I just watched my Auntie Coop. My Auntie Coop loves Taylor Swift, and we just watched her whole Errors thing the other day.
Okay.
Taylor Swift.
Let's see. Name that tight end.
No,
it's Jennifer Lopez.
J-Lo. Wow, dude, it's a little. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, a little flatter than I remember.
Yeah, I
a little
see
flatter than I remember. You know.
Yep, it's the picture.
Taylor Swift got the flat one. J-Lo.
Okay.
Dude,
here's your next one.
Oh man, nice watch.
This one you'll never get.
I'll never get it.
Okay, this is a sports person. He does play football, maybe not American football. I don't think he plays anymore.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a good hint. So he's a soccer player. Um, let me get a couple guesses. Is this Ronaldo? Is it Cristiano Ronaldo?
Is it? Let me check.
Uh,
It's David
David
Beckham.
Beckham.
Oh, snap. Did it pause? All right. This is going good. Okay, so this is an athlete, a very, very, very good athlete. Probably one of the best female athletes ever.
Best ever. So the setting makes me think that when I think best female athlete ever, I think like Serena Williams. But this has me thinking that it's track.
Okay.
Is it? Will you give me a hint whether it's track or tennis?
I think it's tennis.
It's tennis. Okay, then yes, Serena Williams.
It is.
Oh, am I breaking
Serena
even here?
Yeah, you almost got that one wrong too. You almost went back on that
I
one.
almost went back on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that form.
Yeah, my God. Look, that's athleticism.
Yeah.
Okay. Name this one. This one's a little blurry, but
Is that an ice skate there?
maybe. I don't know. Could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to think of famous ice skaters I know.
I don't think it's an ice skate.
Oh, it's not?
No.
I was thinking that it was like an ice skate hanging there. What is it? Like a sneaker?
I'm not quite sure. I think it's like might be guitar, honestly. I think
Because
it's
I'm thinking about
guitar.
that outfit that looks like an ice skater
Mhm.
type outfit. So, or musician. Is this so it's a musician then with the guitar hint. I am picking up what you're putting down. Is this Miley Cyrus? This better not be Taylor
Miley
Swift.
Cyrus for 500. I put the butts in there so that I didn't. Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Stop.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Did
getting
you
more
see
than
that?
I saw. I didn't see who it was, but I saw that
Well, this
the
one
blood.
should be. There's some clues in this one. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it looks like Cowboys. That's Cowboys for sure. Right? It's got
I
black
would guess
gloves.
that.
Retired player
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
and
Yes.
an announcer,
This one's
perhaps.
a special one. I think I put this one in for you. A special one for you.
Special one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, special one then maybe a tight end. Is this Jason Witten?
Is it Jason Witten? It is.
Yes, let's go.
It is Jason Witten. And we have one more.
Okay,
This one
so I
is
think
like,
I gotta be. I think I'm even. I think, or maybe close. I need this last
yeah,
one. I need this last one.
you need like I could give you Larry Fitz, but that one
No,
that one
I
don't.
wouldn't have
This
got. You know, what, I
this
wouldn't have
one's gonna
got
be
it because
hard.
the blueprint. This is gonna
And
be
this
hard.
one
I wouldn't have.
this might be a college football pitcher, honestly.
So
This is
I know this one. I think because
yeah.
of Linda Godfrey at Lindellians. Honestly, is this? Did he play for? He didn't play for Texas though, because that's clearly Texas, right? Yeah, that's the Texas
I'm
Longhorns.
not sure. I think he played for the Browns a little bit. He was on the Browns for a little bit.
Oh man. So my first thought is Jeff Driscoll, but I don't know if he played for Texas.
Is that your final answer?
I don't know if I want it to be. Part of me wants to say Colt McCoy.
Oh, really?
But no.
It's Colt McCoy.
It is Colt McCoy.
Yes. Girl, you killed it. You killed it. That was awesome. Oh my God. It actually removed you. I was meant to be this. Sorry.
Better at this
That
game
was
than I
awesome.
thought I'd be. Yeah. Wow. Colt McCoy. Still, even though
That
not a great
was
NFL
good.
quarterback, one of the best football names of all time, right? Colt McCoy.
It is really a good football name.
Oh, it's
You guys, since I have you, let me show you guys what my graphics were going to look like since I'm still on here. Oh, they only have one on there? Big trade. Okay. These are we talked about him. We talked about him.
Talked about
We
him enough.
dabble in it, but let's see who else we can get. Derrick
We
Henry,
talked about more
did him.
interesting players. Yeah, we did him.
Marquise
I
Brown,
like
we didn't
Marquise
even touch
Brown.
on. I don't think
I think
Josh
Marquise Brown
Yeah.
did a very smart move signing a 1-year deal with the Chiefs, because if he stays healthy and plays well, he's going to make a lot of money next year. So
Yes. There was another one in there. Calvin Ridley. Did we talk about that one? No, not really. That one was like, and one more thing before. See, those went fine this time. Let me add this video. We're done. Oh, well, that's okay.
it's a shame we didn't get to use this graphic during the discussion because it's just so good.
Well, I had to make sure I showed it though. So wrong one. I'm gonna just do this one real quick, and then I had some polls that I went over. We talked about him. Just wanted to show you guys some of the people coming up in the NFL draft. We talked about some of these guys. That's another quarterback. That's who you said are going to Jayden Daniels.
Jonathan
Running
Brooks.
back class not too big, huh?
I'll give you one quick factoid on Jonathan Brooks. So the Cowboys need a running back, right? And there's rumors they might take a running back in the draft. If they draft Jonathan Brooks, I will be very much in on Jonathan Brooks. And here's why. So Jonathan Brooks, the reason that he was kind of the best running back, but he hurt his knee, he tore his ACL, right? The guy that did his ACL surgery is the team doctor for the Dallas Cowboys. So nobody has more information about how that knee injury is recovering than the Dallas Cowboys. So if the Cowboys
that's some tea.
That's some inside stuff. So
Especially
if the Cowboys take him, that tells me that they're comfortable with the knee, and I'll have him as my number one. If the Cowboys draft Jonathan Brooks, he'll be my number one running back in the running back class.
If Jerry Jones drafts, me too, because I know he wants to win.
Wants to win.
This was so crazy to me. I did this poll. This was I don't know why people are so low on Anthony Richardson. I think that should be a little bit higher. I could see that, but look at CJ Stroud. This was before the Stephon Diggs trade, and people already had him that close to Joe Burrow. Do you think that seems right before we heard about Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, I think that's fair. In fantasy football, there's an argument for Richardson, but the other thing we talked about it for the contract wise, Joe Burrow is like he's the highest paid quarterback in the league, whereas CJ Stroud has 3 more years on a rookie deal, and because he's the first round pick, you get the 4th year as well. So CJ Stroud plus his contract is very valuable. So I actually might go CJ Stroud over Burrow for that. But if I'm just picking one guy in redraft this year, I think I would go Burrow. No, actually, I think I would take Stroud over Burrow. Just straight up. Yeah.
Yeah. I think CMC had Justin Jefferson, people weren't that low on Justin Jefferson, even with Sam Darnold. They still have him at 51% with Sam Darnold.
It should be Tyreek Hill, I think.
But CeeDee Lamb too. That's a little. I feel like he deserves a little bit more than that.
He was the wide receiver 1 last year. He was the only non-quarterback player in fantasy football to score 400 fantasy points. CeeDee Lamb was. So I don't know. All those players are great, but I think Tyreek Hill, just his ability is on another level.
Yeah, I wanted to see that tight end one. What do you think about this? Is that right? Do you think that? There's 712 people voted on that one. A lot of people voted on that one, and people are still taking.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is the greatest fantasy football tight end of all time. So if we're talking fantasy football, it's still Kelce. And honestly, I would take in fantasy football for redraft this year, I would take Andrews next, right? But if you're building an NFL team, Laporta is just much younger than those guys, so maybe you go that way. Again, you kind of try and put yourself in the mind of the people answering these questions.
Yes, and Dynasty, you would take Sam Laporta, wouldn't you? Over
It depends if I'm competing to win now. Like if my team is the best team in the league, I would actually want Mark Andrews because he's 28 years old right now. We just talked about how Travis Kelsey had his first 1,000-yard season at 27, and then obviously he's an outlier, but Mark Andrews could be the tight end one in the league for the next 3 years in a row. I mean, like
Hey, Q.
he's
Let's just say this. Is he the top 2 target on this team? Hell yeah, he is. Who do they have there? And Rashad Bateman? I'm trying to think of
Zay
like when you're
Flowers.
talking about like who are the wideouts and I mean is
Zay Flowers.
LBJ still there?
He's gone. So
Okay.
it's Zay Flowers and
who
Rashad Bateman.
Sky Moore?
Yeah.
No,
No,
Sky Moore,
Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, that's it. Yeah, Zay Flowers. That's Sky Moore is in Kansas City, right? Or
Yeah, still in Kansas City. So there you go.
Oh, well, we made it. I
did
can't
it.
believe we did it.
Yeah. I think, especially after yesterday. Today went great. There's no way to do it.
Oh my God. I'm so glad we made it through. And I didn't even have to use it. We just talked too. I didn't even use any of my notes. That's how awesome. We just freaking rolled it off.
Crushed it.
I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, you have to be following my guest. His tag's right there, Coop A Fiasco. Tell everyone else where we can find you when your podcasts are on and radio show, everything.
Yeah, for sure. So all my articles, if you follow me on Twitter, I post everything, but all my articles can be found at Fantasy Alarm. Right now, we're doing shows 1 to 2 on Wednesday and Friday. During the season, we do 1 to 2 every day, or even during the summer leading up to it. Also, I pop in on Sirius XM every once in a while. If this is posted today on Thursday, the 4th, then tonight at 7:20 p.m. on Channel 87, I'll be on with Howard Bender and Jim Bowden talking a little football. So that's where you can find my stuff. But if you just follow on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco, you'll get it all. So thanks.
Yes. Thank you very much. I find like for me as a fan of fantasy football, I think that we thank you so much for all the hard work that you guys do. I am not a fantasy football analyst. I am a fan. I go to people like you to run my league. So I appreciate everything that you're doing. So people, let's follow, let's subscribe, let's support these amazing people and what they do. And I hope to see you soon. You're coming back, right? We're going to talk mob, and I'll probably see you at the expo, hopefully. Are you going to expo this year?
I got to get caught up. Yeah, I'm doing the expo. I'll be at FSGA, and it's in Boston this year. But expo, I'll definitely be there. So I'll see you there. And I'll get caught up on Youngstown, maybe we can do a mob episode this summer.
Oh my God. It's happening. It is so happening.
Oh, awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you guys very much. And keep it classy. Bye.